As on the horizon and full on the gas, just watch me. My hands on the wheel, baby, I'm thinking fast, can't stop me. Oh, where should I go? Hey, it's the chance of your life where you find out what's over the horizon. Hey, it's the will and the fight, it's the passion to keep on thriving. Wherever you go, my wheels spinning faster, I'm out in the lead, can't catch me. Not scared of the risk, yeah, I'll know I'll succeed. Just watch me. Whoa, where should I go? Hey, it's the chance of your life when you find out what's over the horizon. Hey, it's the will and the fight, it's the passion to keep on thriving. Wherever you go. Oh, where should I go? Hey, it's the chance of your life when you find out what's over the horizon. Hey, it's the will and the fight, it's the passion to keep on thriving. Hey, it's the chance of your life when you find out what's over the horizon. Hey, it's the will and the fight, it's the passion to keep on thriving. Wherever you go.
Oh, that song gets your blood pumping, doesn't it? Welcome everybody to the Dream Big webinar for women in life transitions so you can build a life that you truly love. I am Amelia McHenry. I am your host and founder of Dodonna Coaching, and I'm so glad that you guys are here. And Quayle, I'm glad you put the pronunciation there. I'm glad that you're here and listening and understand that you are working, and that's totally fine. Because we got a lot to go over. So let me go ahead and get started. I'll share my screen again. And that sounds okay, groove. And yeah, so we're here because we have this impetus to move forward, and we're in some kind of transition in life and looking for that next passion, that next big dream. So let's just dive on in. So building your life is like building your home, your own house. You have to lay out the foundation with both your personal and your professional goals, and then you can turn around and raise the roof with those internal dreams that only you are aware of and only you think about. Um, and these are those, these are those dreams that you keep secret and not necessarily want to verbalize, and that's okay. And so we're going to try and identify those and get those for you, because in everyday life, your personal and your professional goals, they should really support those internal dreams and goals of yours, those bigger dreams, those dreams beyond the norm. So and there it is, supporting it. Through working with many people over the years, I have found that there is a cycle to achieving any dream, any goal. And I've spent a lot of years navigating this cycle with others until I realized it was like, oh, that's what it is. It became abundantly clear. And I call it the dream flow. And it starts with taking your dream and setting a goal, a list of tasks to get done. And as you're moving along, obstacles start to appear. And I call these the shift storms. And after you go through the storms and navigate them and oh, okay, that's over and done with, you need to take some time to take care of yourself, to get back and connect and just really, oh, that was a big deal, and just rest, right? And then what happens is, once you've achieved the goal, this is the one that we seem to miss a whole lot, and that is to celebrate. That is such an important piece that most people skip over, but we're going to get into that a little bit later. And then after the celebration, there is this time of reflection, of going through what happened, the shift storms, the growth that you had, and we get to refine that big dream and reset. And it's one of two things. You can either reset to a new big dream or the next step within the dream that you already have that you're going through. So I've gone through this process many times and with a lot of people. And I think of my client, Chris, whose dream it was to move to Florida and live near the beach. And he took the leap one day, left his home, packed up, and just moved. And then the shift storm appeared. And life was not necessarily what he expected. And so he packed back up and came back home, tail tucked between his legs. And he was really uncertain that he would ever go back, because it was kind of a not so fun experience. And then we started working together. And as he was licking his wounds, we reframed this story, because he now had more information about what living in Florida looked like for him and what it was going to look like, right, as he navigated this. So we did that celebration piece of like, hey, you did something, you learned, you found out what it was all about, you found out who the people were, you found out what the job market was like, you found out what the weather was like, right? You learned all of these things. And so as we reflected on that, we started to set up some new goals that would better prepare him. And then a year later, he made the move with confidence and success. And he is living his dream life on the beaches of Florida and posting amazing pictures of the sunrises and sunsets that he gets to enjoy all year round. So now we're going to go into a little bit behind the scenes and how it all kind of works. And it all starts with identifying those three big rocks, that personal, that professional, that you, right? So Stephen Covey, he is the founder of Franklin Covey, and he is the author of 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And he was also one of Time Magazine's 25 most influential Americans. And he came up with this idea of big rocks and how to fit them into your life effectively. And, because it seems like our buckets are always overflowing and there's just too much to do. There's no time, there's no space. I got to deal with family. I got to deal with work. I got to deal, all these things. And he has this interesting view on it. So I would like to show just this quick video of him explaining the shift in thinking about big rocks.
Your name is?
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth. You have a work life?
I do.
Family life as well?
Mm-hmm.
Children?
Not yet.
Not yet. What's the nature of your work assignment?
I direct an international firm.
An international firm?
Mm-hmm.
So you really are interfacing with all kinds of people in the firm and outside the firm.
That's right.
You want a rich personal life and a rich family life. Do you ever feel like you get bogged down in the thick of thin things?
Yes.
Well, that might be analogous to all these little, small things that tend to fill our life. And that just little by little, they just accumulate. Now, your job, you can't go above this, is to get all those large rocks in the jar. Good luck. What's that one called?
Q2, planning, preparation.
Right. Planning, preparation, prevention, and empowerment. Mm-hmm. Okay, the next rock she's putting in there is called relationships and family. We didn't look at that third rock you put in there. That's employment, some key employment issue, and then you put major projects here. I can't get it above there.
I haven't worked it yet.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Is that fair?
Yeah, that's fair. That's called service, community, church. Do you ever feel like this?
Yes.
How many feel like this? By moving the little things around, you might squeeze in one more of those big major things. It's almost. Wow, that is good. If it doesn't fit, force it. Here's something that's called urgent and important. It's a quadrant 1 thing that is blindsiding you, that it's your biggest client, that if you don't get back to that client now, you've given up your vacation. And you have no special block of time just for yourself. I'll tell you what you can do if you want to.
What's that?
You can take a whole different approach. You have a totally fresh bowl. You can work out of a different paradigm altogether.
Well, then I'd rather put these in the bottom and then pour the little pebbles on top.
Employment.
Big opportunity.
Big opportunity.
Important and urgent. Block of time. Those young children keep looking at me. Glad my husband's not here. Now I dump these in there.
Okay? great. That was great.
So that's a pretty powerful demonstration of all the things that we have in our lives that we're trying to organize and keep going and not miss out on those personal time for us or the kids or the business things that need to get done and all those things. And it's a really powerful demonstration of how when you put the big rocks first, everything else fills in around, and there just magically seems to be room for them all instead of trying to worry about all the little things and neglecting those big things, those big important things that happen. So let's go back to this. And so I've whittled this down to three big rocks. Over the years, it's been refined and refined down to those three big rocks. And I've identified 3 areas that I think deserve a big rock of their own. And we saw that at the beginning of the thing. And these areas are so that you have a balanced dream life. And I've been through this through trial and error, putting all of my rocks in one area or another and having my life fall apart. And then once I was able to give it some balance in these areas, life worked out really well. And I call these the 3 Ps. And once everything was there, it moved really fast. So the first area is your personal life. It's those family, the friends, the home, the vacations, your social life, right? That's the personal rock. There's, something in there that you're going for. And then it's your professional, your work, your career, your business if you own one. And then the third rock is that purely you, that only you know about it because nobody else is in your head. It's that big dream that you have that you may even be too scared to tell your partner about. Your best friend doesn't even know. It's that internal dream, that internal drive that you have to keep moving forward. And it's where you kind of see yourself in the next year, 5 years, 10 years, if you dare, right? And the personal and the professional, those are like kind of the easy rocks. Those are the ones that are, we expect those, and they support each other. If you didn't have a personal life, you wouldn't have a professional life. And if you didn't have a professional life and make money, you wouldn't have a personal life, right? But the thing is those 2 absolutely support the purely you. And the idea around this is to pick one thing that is most important to you in each area for a certain amount of time, and you focus on that. That's where your blinders get put on. It's like, nope, I'm focusing on this, which helps you make really easy decisions. It's like, this is my focus for the year. Does that thing fit into the focus? If it does, great, I'm going to do it. If it doesn't, then no, I'm going to pass on that right now because my focus is this. If my focus shifts next time I do this exercise, then maybe that'll fit in and I can do that. That's a fun thing. I'll keep it in mind, but it's not where I'm heading right now, because achieving your dreams, achieving your big goals is about the choices you make. And when you have this focus, you can just make those decisions and make those choices so that you move forward. And I do this on a yearly basis. Like, what is important this year? What's important in my personal life? And that usually has something to do with my relationships. It has something to do with my kids, has something to do with my health. taking walks. There was one year where walking was my focus, that I wanted to get to walking, right? And then each year I choose again. I make choices. Now, it could be that I choose the same thing in that because I didn't necessarily move as much forward as I wanted to. So like walking, that's still a thing for me. But in my professional life, I have different goals as the year goes on because I've made these achievements and now there's something new to do. In the purely you, it's like, I want to travel here now. I did this travel. I want to do that travel. And that's part of that big dream of, where I want my lifestyle to look like. And so it's kind of dependent on the progress that you make, but I recommend at least every year really sitting down and taking a look at those big goals and those big rocks and making some decisions around that. So, and I think of my client, Kathy, when I started working with her, all of her professional rocks, or all of her rocks, were in her professional life. Everything was focused on her professional life. And her boss would call her day and night, every weekend, and expect her to be available whenever he called. And this, as you can imagine, impacted her personal life. She never knew when he was going to call. And she felt like she had to be there when he did and be available and do the work, right? So she didn't have any time or space for a big dream or even a personal life. And she was overwhelmed and overworked. And most of her evenings were spent flopped on the couch, playing games on her phone. And so when we started working together, we started identifying what her rocks needed to be. And in her personal life and purely her area. And she was able to identify the most important rock in her personal life or her professional life and start to set some boundaries with her boss. Now, as you can imagine, there was some pushback, but I kept encouraging her and she kept going, yeah, I need this because I really want to work on these two others. And he started to learn that when he stayed within her boundaries, she did better work and got more done. And she saw that she was getting more work done professionally, but she was also getting work done, things she wanted to do personally and in her big dream area. She started getting that stuff done and things started cleaning up and clearing out, and it was wonderful. And now she has taken a leadership role in a group that she didn't even know existed before we started working together. And so now she's like this leader, and this group really feeds her big dream and is showing her even more possibilities for an even bigger dream. And it's really exciting to watch as she's doing this. And so, yeah, it's just really, really exciting. So let's get back to our presentation here. So here you are, you're this fun little goofy guy, and you're jamming on your life and you're dancing around and doing the things, and but in order to really find out what your big dream is, because you're probably just doing the two, right? The personal and professional stuff, we need to separate out in your being, like what's really yours and what's been handed down to you throughout your life. And these things are handed down from family, friends, teachers, all those things, right? So if we think about it, we have these people in our lives that in their heart of hearts really want us to succeed. Our family, our friends, right? They really want to see us succeed. And they're like, yeah, go do, right? And then we listen to society, and society is always telling us we can be and do anything we want to be and do, right? And we may even have some previous experience that shows us that we can really do well. But when we start to push the boundaries of what's normal in these areas, we start to get some pushback. And those same people, love us as they do, those family and friends, they start saying things like, well, that's crazy, or that sounds stupid, or why would anybody want to do that? And then society starts bumping its little nose and going, well, you know, you're one of these people and these people shouldn't do that. Whatever these people are, right? Whatever that means. But they say, you shouldn't do that because you're this type of person. And then we start to remember those things, those previous events where we didn't succeed and we were pushed back into our little box. And you know, all those people, they say they want to support us on our big dream, but because we're pushing their boundaries and their expectations, and things are starting to get a little, oh, you're getting close to the edge, they think, you know, they start saying, I'm not willing to support that. I'm not willing, you know, no. And it turns into this lack of support. And our journey to our big dreams, it gets sidetracked. So the key is to find a community that is willing to support and encourage you as you push those boundaries and step over the line into crazy town in order to make what you know to be true in your life happen. So there may be losses that happen as you move forward along on this journey, and that can be painful. You know, there may be family and friends that decide, or you decide, you know, that's not healthy for me, and that can really be painful. But when you have a group that's going to hold you through the shift storms, it makes it easier to release those people and to step forward. And it may not be that you lose them, like you're never going to talk to them again. It could be that you just don't talk to them about this. You know, there's just a loss of communication, perhaps. But they're not the people who are right to support you, because they have their own fears and their own setup and own expectations, and you have bigger dreams. And that's okay. It's okay. But you also may find that you, as you're moving forward towards your dream, that you have attracted more wins, and people that you thought maybe have been lost, they come back, and you've got all these new people that want to support you. And so the older people think like, oh, hey, she's doing a really great thing. Let's support her now. Whoop. I thought it was crazy at first, but now she's done it. Hey, who knew, right? So an example of this is David. He's a musician that's been playing music since junior high school, and he's really good. But he had this sister who, she literally said, have you resigned yourself to the fact that you will never be a successful musician? And for years, he let this hold him back. And when we started working together, he was so afraid to not have his sister's acknowledgement that he would share what he was doing with her musically only to have her stomp it out. And as we worked on releasing this need for her approval, she kind of faded into the background, and he learned not to share that dream with her. And he now has 5 self-published albums and a live concert DVD streaming on all of the services. And he's overheard her when she didn't know he was there. He's overheard her saying, "Isn't he just amazing?" So the same person that was like, "You're never going to go anywhere. You kind of suck," right? And now she's telling her friends, "Isn't he amazing?" To which I said, yeah, he is. It's pretty amazing. So our next slide is about, goal setting. So this is where we kind of get into the meat of it. So I've worked as a business analyst for over 20 years. And I've created a lot of processes for businesses. And as I was building my business as an achievement coach, I struggled with how to make this goal setting thing more relatable. Because when I was in corporate, I hated setting goals, absolutely hated it, because there was no connection to anything within me. It was just all about what worked for the company. And that week that we set goals was a week of wondering, what do they want to hear? And just like, let's shut them up and I'll write down whatever it is they want to hear. And it doesn't really matter to me. But as I started working on connecting goals to what was really important to my life, I tried my best to keep it as far away from corporate as I possibly could. And then it hit me. Setting goals is really just a process. And so I picked up my corporate process template and I started comparing it. And it was right there. And it was so easy. And it was so simple. And it was so connected to my goals and dreams. So I'm going to share with you this strategy. Whoop, go too fast. So first you start off with a dream, right? You have that dream. You have the thing that you're focused on and you want to go for. And the first thing you need to do is you put a name on it. Name it, write it down, bring it out of the ether and make it real in this plane of existence. And you do that by writing it down, because then you can see it. And if you use smelly pens, you can smell it. You can hear it. You can hear the paper crumpling. And if you are so inclined, you could even taste it, right? Put the paper in your mouth, you can taste it, right? You're using all of your senses to pull that dream into this world of existence. And then once you've named it, you need to define the purpose for it. Why is it important to you? Not to anybody else, to you. What is it going to do for you? And once you have that, you got to start thinking about your expected outcomes. What's it going to look like when you get there? Who's going to be with you? What are you doing? Where are you? What does it look like? What things, tangible things have you gotten along the way? And then you need to flip the coin and come back to the beginning and identify what you need to actually get started. What has to happen before you can take that first step or the next step? Because you're probably already started a little bit. What has to happen before you can begin? So I want you to think of the mental, the emotional, and the physical things that need to be in place before you can really get started on this amazing dream of yours. And my dad always said, if you want to do something, you have to do something else first. Like if you want to cook dinner, you have to make sure the dishes are clean, or you have to pull out the recipe, or you have to, so think about what is that something else. And then the next thing is, like, be real. Let's define those possible obstacles that might happen. Because sometimes you know what will get in the way. And if you do, write it down. And if you know, make a plan. Like, I see that as a thing. That's going to be, I know this emotional thing is probably going to pop up. What am I going to do about it? I know that this financial thing is going to come up. What am I going to do about it? Make a plan for those possible obstacles so that you're ready when they show up. And if you don't know what the obstacles are, because there are always going to be obstacles that come in from the side and go, what? Where'd you come from? Right? And we had no idea that they were even a thing. And let's make a plan of what you could do when something like that happens, when something out of the blue happens. Maybe it's a plan for calling somebody for help, like calling your best friend. Hey, oh my gosh, this just happened. What? Could be learning different places to research because something new showed up and it's like, oh, maybe I go to the library or I go to Google or I go to, wherever. Where are your research opportunities? And maybe it's just as simple as calling a professional. Wow, this new emotional thing popped up that I have never seen before. I need a professional. Let's talk this out. Let's figure it out. Let's get through it. Right? And then, so now that you kind of have your plan for your obstacles, known and unknown, then you want to really define that finish line. How do you know you have achieved your goal? A hint, look back at your outputs, right? Like, what do that's kind of a clue. But there may be some other things like I've made X amount of money. I have this many customers. I've, traveled to this place and this place and this place, or whatever, I've pitched on this stage. I've gone to the beach with my kids. I've, whatever it is. It's like, how do you know where the finish line is? And that's one of the things that's really important, because if we don't know where the finish line is, we never think we've achieved our goal. So it's really important to put a finish line somewhere and say, this is what it means to be done with this goal. You could always refine and go further, but at least this goal is complete, right? And then, only then, do you start thinking about the steps. Now that you've got all this, you know where you're beginning, you know where you're ending. Now you can kind of see the road to get there, and you know where maybe some of the obstacles might show up, right? So you've kind of got these little pathways that you can go. And then that's where you build out the steps. It's kind of like going on a trip. There's always this list of things that you need to do, right? You got to pack, you got to get hotel reservations, you got to decide how you're going to travel. Is it going to be plane, car, boat, train? What roads are you going to take? Are you going to go out to the woods and check that out? Or are you going to take the beach route? How are you going to do that? Those are those steps that you're going to take to get to your destination. And then back to this one most important thing, plan your celebration. Plan it, set it up beforehand. What are you going to do when you hit that finish line? When you make your final destination? And like in a trip, it's like the final destination is Paris. I'm going to pop some champagne and hop in the pool. It's like, that's going to be, I made it. I'm here. I am in, wherever it is. Right. And then once you have all of those things, your plan is actually complete. The plan is complete. So, an example of this is that Sandra was a gal who was in college, and she started to realize that, you know, adulting was coming up quick. And it scared her, and she wasn't sure what she was going to be doing. And she started to go into a full-blown panic attack. And so we sat down and we talked about it. And she was really afraid of not being able to do what she wanted to do. So I asked her what she wanted to be by age 30. And she said that she wanted to be a tattoo artist and own her own shop. So we sat and reversed engineered this dream. We identified what it would look like when she got there at age 30. The shop, the customers, the team. And then we moved backward to the bank loan, to the experience expected. We figured the bank would need about 5 years experience, and that would take her a year or two, and then it would take her a year or two to get the loan. And that brought her to age 23. And tattoo apprentices take about a year or two to happen. So that brought it back to age 21. Well, she was only 19 at the time of our conversation. But by reverse engineering her dream and laying it out as a process, we determined that she had plenty of time to make this dream happen. And she had the milestones in place so that the journey was easy to follow. She even had some extra time to spend as a shop girl to learn the business side of things, not just the artistry. And in the space of an hour, maybe an hour and a half, she went from full-blown panic to, wow, I can do this. It was pretty amazing. So let's start talking about the shift storms, the things that blindside you, and like, why are they there? Why did they even happen? So in my Goals Bootcamp group, we've talked about many a goal and the things that happen when you're going for them. And inevitably, something comes along and blindsides you. We started calling these shift storms, take out the F, because that's what it felt like. It felt like the poop hitting the fan. And then we started joking that all that crap, all that poop, it's a great fertilizer. And what is fertilizer there for? It's there to nourish. So this shift storm that shows up is there to nourish the big dream. But then there is this destruction as well that comes along. And what was that there for? And it was there that we decided that it became the clearing out of the old to make way for something new and improved. Because you can't fit two things into one single space. Something has to give. And it takes time to clear out all of the destruction and plant the new seeds and nurture them to harvest with the fertilizer, but it's worth it. So the idea around this is to shift your perspective a little bit on why bad things happen. And if you can see them as the universe, God, goddess, all-powerful, whatever it is you believe, helping to clear the space for your big dream and providing the necessary fodder for it to happen, it makes it easier to navigate this whirlwind of change. Because as you grow, you need to acknowledge that you are shifting, not just your space, but the space around you and the space of the people around you. And as you're growing, you also need to clear out what doesn't work or serve, those things that are holding you back. And you need that fertilizer so that you can nourish what's coming. And you need to allow yourself some time and space for your bigger vision and time to be flexible, because you will get there. So when I first started my journey in this entrepreneurship, there was this major shift storm. I had spent some money on a program and I didn't include my husband on the purchase. And part of that initial purchase was a ticket to a live event in which a new level of contact was offered. And I could tell that this new offer was exactly what I needed. But it was really expensive. And it was a large enough purchase that I couldn't get away with not consulting with my husband. And honestly, it really wasn't fair to him, because he could tell that if he said no, I would be like, it would be really devastating. And so he agreed, even though he didn't really agree, because he's a good man. He's a good man. And we worked through it. And in the coming months and years after that decision, there were many discussions and conversations, and some of them were heated and some were not, but they were all really productive in forward movement, not only in our relationship, but for both of our dreams. We got to dig through a lot of stuff with and without professional help. And now we're working together, supporting each other in our mutual dreams and our exclusive dreams. A lot was shed, a lot was planted, and a lot was fertilized. And I'm sure it won't be the last time, because we're still growing and we're still moving forward. But for now, we are in a really good and healthy place. Our next item up is that self-care. Taking care of yourself. And self-care is more than just eating right and meditation or exercise. It's about giving yourself downtime, creative time, just what you want time. It's about what fills up your energy levels so that you can continue to move forward with courage and excitement. And your self-care is not going to look like anyone else's self-care. So it's about pushing the boundaries, because and knowing that growth is hard work. It's giving yourself some grace. It's making sure you're fed. Your body needs sustenance. And some of us, we maybe eat too much, and some of us don't eat enough, or at the right time, or the right things, right? And one of the big keys for me especially is allowing yourself to rest. And I know that a lot of women have this problem of, I gotta go, I gotta do, I gotta keep doing, and life is about productivity. And like Kathy said, in hers, when she allowed herself to rest and slow down and have some boundaries, she was more productive. Because without you, the dream doesn't happen. So it's really important that you take care of you. Learn what it is that makes you relaxed. It could be dancing, meditation, going for a run, walking in a park, or going to the gym and beating the snot out of the punching bag. There are things that work for a lot of people. You hear about those, the meditations, the eating right, the, blah, blah, blah. But if it doesn't work for you, then it doesn't work. So Deidre a client of mine struggled with feeling like she never did enough. She just had a major loss in her life and was trying to clear the house and start living without this really special person around. And when we first started working together, she always put herself down for not having gotten more done. But I had to remind her that she was not only clearing her home, she was grieving. And that's really hard. So we worked on allowing herself to grieve and being proud of just moving one little thing, not even a box, just one little thing, and then resting and celebrating that forward movement, no matter how small it was. That started to give her the confidence and motivation to do more. One thing became two, which became a box, which eventually became her whole house because she and her husband moved across the country to be closer to family. Just the simple act of allowing herself to rest and grieve helped her to see that she was really doing the work and moving towards accomplishing her goal. Now we get into celebration, because making time to acknowledge your completed work is important, so important. But it can be a hard thing to do. I think of the time that I started writing a book, and I had a goal of 50,000 words. And I worked on it every day, at least 1,000 words a day. And then I shared this goal with my family, and I told them at that point in time that I had hit 18,000 words. And they were so supportive and so wonderful. And they said, you know what? When you get to 20,000 goals, we're going to celebrate you. And because I didn't know how to celebrate and I didn't appreciate celebration, I stopped writing. That very day, I never wrote another word in that book. To this day, I have never wrote another word in that book. That project has gone by and I'm okay to release it. But that was a huge lesson, because the thought of celebrating me, not just even celebrating, but celebrating me, was so traumatic that I just couldn't keep doing what it was that I really wanted to do. And since that time, I have been working on this particular aspect of the dream flow, because it's not easy. It's not easy to stop and try and celebrate your accomplishments. So what I try and do is I try to make it as fun, as silly as possible, because celebrating, it finalizes whatever task, project, or event that you have been doing. It tells your nervous system that you are done and complete. It closes that loop. And acknowledging your completion gives you the confidence that you can do the next thing. Because look, you completed this thing. Maybe you can complete the next thing and you can do it because you've got this experience. And the other thing, it's just plain fun. It's just plain fun. So I created this little ditty that I would like to share with you. And I hope that you will stand up and help me with this, because I think it's time for a 10-second booty wiggle. All right. So are you ready? Let's all get standing up. And Mark, get set, go. 10-second booty wiggle. It's time to do the booty wiggle. Wiggle over here, wiggle over there. 10-second booty wiggle. It's time to do that booty wiggle. Whoop. And that is as simple as it gets. Right? That's as simple as it gets. It can be 10 seconds, and that was 10 seconds. A 10-second booty wiggle as you're going down the stairs. Ooh, I sent that thing. I cleaned that bathroom. I made the bed. Ooh, right? Driving in your car. Oh, I did great in that interview. I rocked work today. Yeah. Or man, that conversation with that person was fabulous. Whoop, whoop. Or even sitting in your chair at your desk. I just sent the most amazing email for work. Yeah. Ooh, I nailed that project. Done. Right? And the thing is, when you do that, it's sure to put a little smile on your face because you're being silly. You're being a little goofy, right? But you finished. And doing that, being a little goofy, having a little fun with it, it puts that smile on your face and it calms your nervous system just a little bit. So, woo, that went fast. Hang on a second. So an example of this is that celebration, just realizing that celebration can really be a hard thing to do. And sometimes we miss out on celebrations that are important, but for whatever reason, they get pushed to the side. And I think of my high school graduation. I didn't get the opportunity to walk. And some people, that's not a big deal, but this was kind of a thorn in my side. And so I've been sitting with that for like 30 years. And I mentioned it as I was going through some stuff, and it kept coming up and kept showing up. And so I mentioned it to my family. And I actually asked them, because I don't know what would have happened if they said it, but I asked them if we could put on a high school graduation. And they were all about it. They went all out. They got the cap and the gown, and they made certificates, and they had the balloons and the happy grad things. And it was so much fun. And my eldest sister, she was the guest speaker, the commencement speaker, and she went up and prepared this whole speech. And so it was this thing. And it was just my family, but it was a graduation. It was the walking across the stage, getting the certificate, moving the tassel, throwing the cap. It was the whole 9 yards. And it was so much fun. And it was so cathartic. And that's not a thing anymore. That's not something that I miss anymore, because it closed the loop. That was an open loop in my life that stung, because I really wanted to walk. That was an accomplishment. in my family, that was a major accomplishment. And, because a lot of my family, they just got GEDs. They never actually graduated. There were some people in my family that did. I've got a large family. So that was an important thing for me. And to have that celebration 30 years later, was really wonderful. And now it's not an open loop in my life. I had my graduation. It was wonderful. It's amazing how that works out. And it was just a lot of fun. We had a good time giggling. It was really good. So then we move into reflection. Once the goal is completed and it's time to decide what's next, do you continue on with the dream or do you make adjustments? Is there something you learned in the last time before, that made you think of things a little differently? So you want to learn things as you're working, you do learn things as you're working towards your dream. And some things you learn show you that the dream you started with isn't exactly aligned with who you want to be and how you want to be in the world. So when you're doing your reflection, think about what worked. What did you enjoy? What went beyond your expectations? What was surprising and delightful? Those are really cool things to know. Like, what worked really well? And then the next thing to look at is, what would you like to improve? Like those things that didn't go so well. Maybe some things that created havoc, like they were big fires, like that did not go well. And the other thing is, what was maybe disappointing? It was like, it was all right, but I'm really disappointed in that, how that turned out. And then thinking about what's next, moving forward. What's the next upgrade? What's the new vision? Or maybe, to quote the Monty Python boys, and now for something completely different. This could be that thing that is, you started going for one thing and then you found out a little bit more about it. You were like, ooh, wait a minute. Not so much that. There's some things in there that I did not know about that do not jive with me. So let's go this direction. Something completely different. So I want you to remember that story that I talked about with Sandra and her dream to be a tattoo artist. This is kind of what I'm talking about. So she spent a lot of time in the tattoo world, hanging out at shops, talking with the artists, getting, just getting to know the world. And after about a year of this, she came back to me and she said, I don't think I really want to be in that environment. Because she noticed for her that there was a lot of drama and a lot of talking, where she was hanging out, there was a lot of talking behind people's backs and other unsavory types behaviors that didn't align with who she really wanted to be. Now, she still loves tattoos and she's, from head to toe, she is a tattooed girl. But being active in that world 24/7 was not true to who she was not in alignment with who she wanted to be. And so even though she said, I want a tattoo artist, I want a tattoo shop by the time I'm 30, she got a year in and went, that's actually not what I want. Let's look over here and do this. And so she started a new dream. she changed her mind. She got more information and was able to make a better decision that was in alignment with her. And she went in a different direction. So I want you to know that your dreams are achievable. They absolutely are achievable. But there are going to be obstacles and pitfalls that come your way. There always are in any race, in any action. There's always going to be something that gets in the way that makes you, squirrel or danger or, even the stubbing of your toe. You might just stub your toe. That could be the obstacle, right? It's not necessarily going to be easy. It's simple, but it may or may not be all that easy because people are going to look at you like you're crazy. You're pushing this boundary. They're going to go, what are you doing? They're used to you being in this box and you're starting to open the box and say, what's outside? And they're like, don't open the box. And you're like, but it's bright outside. I want to see. And then you step out of the box and, you're going to trip. Those tabby tabs will catch your feet and you're going to fall. You're going to fall down at some point because you don't know what it's like outside of the box. And you don't know what these things are and you're going to bump into them, and you may, as you're going through, you may wonder if it's even worth it. Is it worth all of this? I'm going to tell you that it is right now. It is totally worth it. I think, right? But you need to make that decision. You need to know that, is it worth going through all this, digging up all this stuff, going through it, getting rid of, bringing new, planting, and a farmer's life is never done, right? It's gonna take effort. There is work involved, but it is achievable, and I know you can do it. Your dreams are achievable. But you're not in this alone. You need cheerleaders, support, and encouragement from others to lift your spirits up when those shift storms show up. You need someone who understands what your dreams and goals are, and honestly, truly, to their core, wants to see you achieve it. I am one of those people. I love your dream, and I don't even know it yet, but I love your dream, and I'm so excited for you. So, knowing all of this, I want to ask if it's okay if I spend a few minutes going over a special offer that I have for you. Is that all right? Let me see it in the chat. Awesome. Thank you so much. So I would like to offer some one-on-one coaching so that you can transform your dreams into reality. I have opened up 5 spots of this one-on-one coaching. And let me just tell you what you get during this. You're going to get personalized weekly one-to-one coaching calls. So we will talk once a week, check in, see how you're doing, just move forward, see what the shift storms are, work through them, navigate them. And it's all tailored to your unique goals and dreams. This is all about you. You're going to get my expert guidance to overcome those obstacles and stay on track. And they will show up. They will show up. And I've helped many people through a lot of things. And I've got a lot of resources that I can help you navigate them. And we're going to build that roadmap. Remember back in the process thing, we're going to build that roadmap. And we're going to give you a actionable plan to achieve your big dreams. So that's like my thing. We're going to do that. Why does this matter? Because it'll give you clarity and direction in your life. You're going to gain some confidence and eliminate that self-doubt, that imposter syndrome, that, you're going to know that you can do this. And in the end, you're going to achieve your big dreams because you have a clear and actionable plan and a support system and a cheerleader and somebody who's excited for you. So this is my special offer. I know this is a big decision, so I would like to offer a 30-minute discovery session for $97. And just so you know, that $97 isn't just wasted on a discovery session, because it goes towards your coaching investment should we decide to work together. And if we decide not to work together, I will fully refund it to you if you show up. So it's basically just a micro commitment to showing up for your dream. And if we decide that we're not a fit, like you decide that I'm not a fit for you, or, and honestly, if I decide that you're not a fit for me, and that's not a bad thing on either one of us. But there's a commitment there to show up. And if we decide that that's not a right fit, your money is yours. So it's no risk. I would love to work with you. I would love to have this call and, find out if this is a right fit. So let's me put this on here, right? I kind of have to have the thing. So I'm going to put that in the chat. And hello, that's not what I wanted. Technical difficulties. So we'll put this in the chat. Let me do this again. Why? Okay. All right. So we put that in the chat so that you can sign up for a discovery session today. And I can't wait to hear from you. So now we go into the Q&A. All right, and we have, so what if you don't, okay, so here's a question. There's a question of, what if you don't have a big dream? What if you don't know what your big dream is? That's, and there is that, right? We live this life of like all of us, all those little rocks happening. And do we even have time for a big dream? And that's okay. I can help you find your big dream. I do have a technique to quiet the voices down, and I'll interview you and I will pull it from you. It's not hard and it's not scary. It's this really easy, calm, getting you really aligned to who you are, your divine spark, and your sacred dream, and finding out what that is, and then being able to move forward. So you may not know what your dream is right now, and that's okay. we can find it together. We can find it together. Great question. And how long is the call? The call is 30 minutes. And again, that $97 either goes towards your coaching investment or is fully refunded to you based upon your decision of whether you want to invest in the one-on-one coaching with me. So very good. Yeah, just click the link. The link will, the question is, how do we schedule the call? And the link takes you to a Calendly where you can choose the best time that is available for you. And, it checks my calendar, knows when I'm available. So you get to pick the best time for you. And it is a 30-minute call. And we will have a frank discussion about what the coaching looks like. Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. And it is, how long does the coaching go for? It is a 6-month package. So, and we'll talk more about that in the call. Thanks. Okay. Any other questions? Wonderful. Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you all for being here. I really do appreciate you being here, being a part of this, and investing some time. Just even investing this time into your big dream. It's really important for you. And I appreciate that, right? I appreciate that you have invested this time in your dream, just even this little bit, because that's a move forward. You have taken a step forward. So 10-second booty wiggle. Oh, yeah. All right. And I like to sign off with, keep your eyes on the horizon, your hands on the wheel, and your foot on the gas, baby. Let's do this.